Hello everyone, this is Anthony Moss of College Talk, and today I want to talk to you about how you should form your college list. What is a college list? As I'm sure most of you can surmise, it's essentially the schools that you apply to during your senior year of high school. The structure of your list depends on what you want, but for most people the list can be broken into three categories: safety, match, and reach. Now, a safety school is one that you're guaranteed to get into. No, you high achievers, that doesn't mean the University of Michigan. You have to actually be 100% sure that you'll be accepted. If there's any doubt as to whether or not you can get in, then it's not a safety. Now, a safety could be something like if you're in Texas, the University of Texas, where the top 10% of each class gets in automatically. If you're in the 10%, in the top 10%, UT would be a safety for you, as you knew you would get in. Don't make the mistake of considering good schools to be safeties just because you think you're overqualified. I've often seen students get shockingly rejected from good schools just because they didn't they didn't understand the competitiveness and the randomness of the college process. Don't get burned on May 1st not knowing where to go just because you were stupid enough to think that UM could be your safety or something. Now, a match school, by contrast, is a school you have a good shot to get into. It's no guarantee, but it's more than likely you get accepted. If your stats are in the high end of the percentiles, you could probably consider the school to be a match. Now, this only really applies to schools outside the top 20 or so. Cornell is never going to be a match for anyone, really. The odds are just too low, regardless of your stats, because the applicant pool is always on another level. I don't think it's unreasonable for people with elite stats and solid extracurriculars to consider schools like USC and Michigan to be matches, but I think that's about the high end of what could be considered a match. Pretty much everything else would be considered a reach school. Now, the last category, like I just mentioned, is a reach school, and the definition of a reach, like every other category, is pretty much based on your situation. It's essentially anything that would be a long shot for you to get into. Now, this could be because of lower GPA, ACT, SAT score than average, ECs that aren't up to par with that of an average student. Every single top 10 school is a reach. I've seen too many smart, brilliant kids get rejected to even imagine an Ivy League tier school to be anything other than a long shot. That said, top schools take tons of kids. There's a lot of miracle stories, so don't lose faith, but also make sure you have a contingency plan. Now, the proportion of safety match reach schools is going to depend on what strategy you want to seek out. For a lot of people, a couple safeties, a bunch of matches, and a few reaches make sense, as you're able to devote more time into schools you have a good shot at. Now, if you really like your safety, you might choose to just apply to the safety and only reaches past that. If you're trying to enter fields like law, business, finance, or political science, I'd strongly urge you to apply to as many reaches as your finances allow. Before I was accepted early to a top school, my list was 2 matches and about 11 reaches, just because I understood the importance of going to a top school in the finance industry where I want to have a career. So the only reason I never had an official safety was because I was waiting to hear back from a match school, but I definitely had a plan as to what safety school I'd apply to. Ultimately, I got into a reach early action, and I cut down my list from 13 to 9, but having a long list isn't bad if you really desire to get accepted into a reach school. For this reason, having 1 safety, 1 match, and 10-plus reaches is a strategy that's kind of crazy, but it makes sense to me, especially if you can appreciate your safety school. But make sure, too, that when adding schools to your list, don't haphazardly add them based on the ranking. Sure, that matters some, but it's much more important that you can see yourself at the schools you're applying to. For me, my list was diverse because I could see myself succeeding in a variety of environments, but this might not hold true for others. For example, take schools like the University of Chicago and Columbia University with a strict course system. We have to take a lot of predetermined courses. Someone who like more freedom might not fit in so well there. In addition, don't only pick schools that rank highly. Make sure that they're respected in your desired field and have the resources to support your desired major. I'll give an example. For me, Caltech wasn't really a school that made much sense, even though it was a top-ranked school, because there wasn't really a strong support for economics, so I didn't really consider it at all. It's highly ranked, but it just wasn't for me. So generally, you just want to make a list that's more curated to you. That's all I've got for this episode of College Talk. Tune into the next episode to learn how to write a killer essay and how to frame your application as a whole.